Today we read the shorter version of the gospel, and I'll tell you a little bit about the longer one, because it kind of fits into the homily. Today's gospel is about a man named Jairus and the journey he made from utter despair to deliverance with the help of Jesus Christ. Jairus is not just your average synagogue official who lived 2,000 years ago. You and I are him. He is you. Exactly. His journey is your journey, and our journey was also his journey. You'll notice in the longer version of the gospel, Jesus, I don't know if you remember the word tarry. He's wasting time. He's taking his time to go. He could have ran to see that girl right away. But in the meantime, he heals a woman who had a hemorrhage for many, many years. And she grabbed hold of his garment, the back of his garment, and he felt the power release from himself. And he turned to the woman and said, "Who touched me?" He knew who touched him, but he wanted to see if the woman would come forward. And she said, "I did." And she told her story. And he said, "Your faith has healed you. Go." While all this is going on, Jairus is walking with Jesus, and he's probably very anxious. Can you imagine if your daughter was on death's door and Jesus is carrying along, taking his time, healing other people? You would probably get a little upset. I probably would have myself. "My daughter is at the point of death," Jairus said. "Please come lay your hands on her that she may get well and that she may live." Jairus is probably going through the biggest crisis of his whole life, losing a child. Most of us have had similar experiences, if not that one. Perhaps it was a grave illness of a mother or a father or a loved one. Perhaps it was the loss of our job. Perhaps it was the effects of a big disaster, a natural disaster. Maybe a condo collapse. Perhaps it was simply the fear of some catastrophe striking us, like COVID. In his crisis, Jairus seeks Christ first, though. Falling to his knees, he pleads for help and for that healing touch for his beloved daughter. We don't know her name. Now that this crisis brings him to a very important point in his life, brings him to Jesus Christ. While suffering remains a mystery, we don't know why there is suffering on earth. It sometimes takes suffering to bring us to Jesus Christ. It shouldn't be this way. We should know enough. But it often is, isn't it? We have to suffer a little bit sometimes so that we can experience change in our life. I know in my life, change comes sometimes because I'm too pig-headed, and I'd rather suffer a little bit more. But then finally, you throw in the towel and say, "It's yours." And that's when Jesus starts working. Even regular churchgoers who come every week, it sometimes takes a real crisis to make us finally cry out, "Lord, I really need you. I can't survive without you." So our friend Jairus, quite possibly a proud synagogue official, is now at Jesus' feet pleading. What about us? Does it take this kind of a calamity? Perhaps it does. For whatever purpose, God often allows suffering for a season and for a reason. Jairus is now undergoing a trial, and Jesus is kind of making it even worse by carrying along, taking his time. But in the end, we see that the little girl lives. Jairus is and has undergone a trial in his life, a test. But remember, there is a test in every testimony. Amen. Amen.
Amen.